So Crackni ASC came to us in Outsiders, has been with us for a while, and has existed only as a young hero. Now, as a hero that I've put quite a bit of work into learning and studying over the years. I actually took it to, as of the day I'm shooting this last night, I took it to 4.0 at my armory on non-hunted cards, but did pretty well with ASC and have continued to do so. Now, moving forward to the hunted, we have an adult version of ASC, which is Crackni here. But I also believe that this hero is best positioned to really not only take advantage of, but probably abuse from a certain standpoint, some of the Toxic Dagger play lines that have come out of this set around Kiss of Death. So today what I want to do is run you through my Toxic Daggers deck tech and take a first stab at Crackni. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Thanks for tuning in today for our Crackni Slip Through the Cracks or Crackni deck tech utilizing the Toxic Dagger playline. When I say utilize, I really mean just abusing the snot out of this playline, because I really think it works well with their ability for the stealth go again. And obviously, what we're talking about here is primarily the card Kiss of Death. So Kiss of Death is a 0, well, it's a stealth, it's a typical stealth card. It's 0 red for 3 attack with 3 defense. But this one's unique because not only does it have an on-hit effect of when this hits a hero, they lose a health, but this attack is a dagger. Now, I want to reference you back to a video I made a little bit ago talking about how all of this works. So I don't want to utilize your time here to go through all the technicalities and the combos. But suffice it to say, the TLDR is that this can be flicked. And when it's flicked, it will hit as if it's an action hitting. So any effect that you impart upon Kiss of Death, when it is flicked, will still continue to be the action hitting. And the example, or the 2-card combo there, if you want to call it that, is Toxicity. So Toxicity allows the next Assassin or Ranger attack action you play at this turn, it gains it, right? So it doesn't say the next time you hit. It actually gives the card that ability, which means that Kiss of Death itself, when it's attacking, would threaten that. But furthermore, anytime, if it is flicked later, or any time that Kiss of Death hits later that turn, it would still carry that and retain that. So you have some very nasty stackingness potential with that, given the fact that Assassin Sky reacts, and it could get pretty gross pretty quick. So that's the concept of this deck, is really trying to lean very, very, very hard into this relatively simple combo, if we really think about it. And do we ever think we're going to get another dagger attack? I think probably not. I think this card's pretty freaking crazy, because there's no shortage of throw effects, no shortage of ways to get this done. All you have to do is be able to make sure that this has go again, so that you can continue to flick it later, because you can't flick an active link, right? And that's where ASC fits into, or I should say Crackni in this case, fits into that. Okay, now before we go into the tech, there's one more thing I do want to mention. When I go into this, you're going to notice that Surgical Extraction is not on this list. That is intentional, and I think it makes sense in this list, but let me explain why, because Surgical Extraction has always been just an auto-include in these decks. I've been finding that with the number of reacts that we have available now, that I need this deck to be low profile. I really can't afford a card that I'm paying 2 for that I can't react on. Because once we, again, look at all the, Surgical Extraction is an amazing card, but it's a contract card, it's not a stealth card. So a lot of your reacts don't work on this. And you want to be able to play a blue for 0, because then you can just a nick and all that stuff, all right? So I finally took out Surgical Extraction from my ASC deck, and it's been working a lot better. And I know how that sounds, but that's why it's not there. You can always go put it back in. You always can, right? You always can. All right, so here is the deck itself. Now, I'm sure many of you have clicked on the link below, but hopefully we can kind of walk through it together. So this deck is not looking at marked for the most part. However, there are a couple cards in here that I want to have and do give us bonuses if we have marked. So to me, it makes sense to run Hunter's Clave. So we're running, typically with, and that's historically, at least for me, been one of the disadvantages to trying to run ASC with the Flick package is that it utilizes so much, and we're talking Blitz here, which has a lower sideboard. It utilizes so much space that you don't have space for other stuff, and you become very, very targeted in what you can do, and you just have some very polarizing matchups. So what's nice here is just leaning into 2 Claves, knowing that we can throw to mark, and hopefully not utilize all of our throw effects, right? But I think you'll see as we go through why having the ability to mark makes sense. And then, of course, we have, because we talked about this card and why we love it so much, Orb Weaver Spinneret is absolutely in here. Just because Kiss of Death, I had come out, I don't know when this will go live, to be honest, but a couple weeks ago, I came out with an early, Orb Weaver Spinneret's the most functional good card in the set. Obviously, that was trumped by Kiss of Death, but doesn't make this any worse of a card. It's just that it's not better than. So the fact that it can give you the Graphene Celery token, which in of itself is an amazing card, right, works really well for that backfill. Okay, and you're going to have no shortage of flickable opportunities in this deck. Okay, the rest of the loadout is Redback Shroud, Crown of Providence, Flick Knives, and Black Deck. Now, I know, why not Tunic? You're not wrong. The reason I like Redback Shroud is if you do get stuck with one of your 1 attacks in hand, when you're trying to do a bonds, you can double dip on that, right? It's a really big thing for those of you who've played new. The fact that both of her pops generate 2 attack reactions is very valuable to a lot of these tricks. So that's why I'm on Shroud. There's not very many ways to get this back. You have to land your Leaf Nose to get them back. It's just the way it is. It is a little surprising to me that Contract was left so far behind. Maybe we'll talk about that in the future. All right, so now let's go. We won't go necessarily in order here because obviously we have Kiss of Death in here, right? We have Kiss of Death and Toxicity are both in here. That's what this is built around. But we also have other really good stuff. So Bite, when this attacks a hero, you can have target dag at your control, deal 1 damage to them. So, Hurl used to be in existence and could still technically work here, but it costs you 1 to do it. Bite just flat out does it. And you could actually, in some other cases, allow this to, let's go talk about being marked and where we're at with Take Up the Mantle, right? So Take Up the Mantle, which was my spoiler card, by the way, target attack action card with stealth gains +2. It's acting a marked hero. Instead, it gets +3, and you can banish an attack action card with stealth from your graveyard. If you do, the target becomes a copy of the banished card. Okay, so Bite, you attack with Bite, you lead with Bite. So Bite has go again, whatever. It doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. But when this attacks, you can then throw the glaive and mark them. Okay, that's already been done. This effect has already been used. So now you're attacking a marked hero, right? Makes sense, right? Works pretty well. And then you can switch it out because it has no on-hit effect. Switch it out with something that does have an on-hit effect. Not to mention that you're using up your Take a Mantle stuff. So Bite is actually a very important card in this because it facilitates Kiss of Death. It facilitates Take Up the Mantle and whatever the heck else you've got in your graveyard. Very unassuming little card, but very important and very valuable in here. We do have Double Trouble, no shortage of reacts here. I do have Incision, so this is limited to daggers, but it's just straight up good value. That's what I have in here for now. This one I could go a couple of ways on. If you find that you don't have enough stealth attacks for how you play, I think this is a good one, but again, it blocks 3. Seems pretty good to me. It also works on Kiss of Death too, right? So Infiltrate, I really like Infiltrate a lot. Just-a-Nick is in here for obvious freaking reasons because the card's also one of my spoiler cards, which was kind of fun. Just-a-Nick is bonkers good. One card I very much love in here is Pain in the Backside. So Pain in the Backside, when it hits a hero, now do note that this doesn't have stealth, okay, which is pretty important because most of your racks are looking for stealth, right? But when this hits a hero, target dagger you control deals 1 damage to them. If it's dealt this way, daggers hit. Okay, doesn't require the dagger to be thrown, which is kind of pie in the sky for Kiss of Death, but it still technically works. Razor's Edge, Sink Below ×2. I know, ×2. It's all I had room for. We do have Shelter from the Storm ×2 in the sideboard, but I don't have any of those yet. I said by the time this comes out, very few of us will have all of those yet. I do have Spike with Blood Rot. This is the only one of the stills. I've taken out Inertia to free up other room and to keep a more lower profile, because I've also skewed into Stains of the Redback. So this one is -1 if marked. Most of the time, this is going to cost you 1. But this is a straight up Razor. First off, it blocks 3, so it's a little better than Razor. This is a straight up Razor Reflex, the OG, for a stealth card. I think that's really good. I wanted to make sure we got this in and got it some reps. I think it fits here. Toxicity, we already talked about. So 2 Codex of Frailty. Andrew, why 2 Codex of Frailty? I only own 2 Codex of Frailties, and I ain't going to go pay 100 or whatever the heck's at right now for them. Not going to happen. But there's also some functional reasons. Like, it always feels bad when you get multiple Codexes at the same time, right? And yeah, you always pitch the dagger, but it feels bad because they block. You don't ever want to block with them anyway. I think 2 is fine. I have 2 Take Out the Mantles for basically the same reason. 3 Bonds, 3 Infects, 3 Prognosive, and then 3 Shred, right? So I'm a little lower on blues than I'd originally wanted to be when I came in here. I wanted it to be 15, or probably 14 is where I wanted it to be at. But that's just how things ended up. Oh, I take that back. Sorry, because I had double trouble. That's where I apologize. I take that back. Moving into the inventory, it's pretty much just standard stuff, and I've got room for it, and I can't believe that I actually have, because I'm so used to playing this in Blitz, right? I can't believe I actually have room. So we've got Polarity, FFS, Respite, and then 2 Shelter from the Storm. So we're on Lantern, we're on the Respirator, and then we're on the Web Crawler. So you lose your boots for the Go Again. That's okay, because most of the time against an Arcane hero, or I should say a wizard, when you're going to want to use those, you're not going to be able to do everything you want anyway, because all your blues are being used for other things, and you're often just throwing maybe 1, maybe 2 attack a turn, or 1 with a reactor, as it may be. So that's overall the list. Now, in terms of going out and playing this, I mean, we talked about the combo. The combo is pretty self-explanatory, but you can keep doing pretty good stuff. You still have all the other stuff in addition to trying to set up the combo. And the nasty thing about this deck is having a card in Arsenal and making your opponent be like, what in the hell could they hit me with? Is it a Codex in our, right? Are they trying to leave? No. Give it goes. Codex from Arsenal. Pop me again. That's a thing. Is take the Mantle in Arsenal. Do I have a React sitting there for when I get Bonds of Agony? Or do I have Toxicity or Kiss of Death in there waiting for the other one to show up? All of them are very, very, very real threats. Very, very, very real threats. So this does suffer. Again, if we go look at the inventory, you may not like my Arcane Protection stuff. I think you need Polarity with Viscerai. I think you're crazy if you don't have Respite. Because wizards are still a thing out there. You got to have poppers. So I think those fill out themselves. Shelter from the Storm seems pretty good. You could say well, where's the CNCs? Because CNC is actually pretty legit with ASC, because you can stealth and then just, 2 for 6. Maybe you 1 reacted on something like that. Sure, that's a 4-card hand, but it's a lot of damage with, and I mean the 1 react on the stealth, to be clear. Either way, this deck's pretty fun. So this is good. I'm going to be running out of the gate come drop once I can get all of the stuff together. I don't need to, if you go and you look at what the M's are, aside from Kiss of Death, which I expect to be in pretty high demand, the rest of this isn't really super critical. Pain in the Backside being an M is not super critical. It's good, and I think it belongs in here, but it's not super critical. Take Up the Mantle, I also believe, is not super critical. I mean, Codex of and I'm talking about new stuff, right? If you don't have Codex Frailties, that's, maybe you're not even click on this. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm really excited about this thing. It should be pretty easy to upgrade into. Crackni's coming for free at the pre-releases, so there should be, even if you're not able to make one, you should have a plethora of those in your area. So that should be really fun to check out. So anyway, folks, thanks for joining me today. I want to give a special shout out to the channel members who are watching this well before it hits normal release. So enjoy and let me know your feedback on the Discord as well. Thanks for joining, folks, and go Commando.